You feel me? When we not on no negativity from now on, man. We not doing that. I'm just here to be positive, and I don't speak on anything negative, you know. So that's the new wave. That's what we going forward with. Anything negative, we not talking about it. We not speaking on.
Not judging the Browns for the decision. That's entirely a football move.
Yeah, I think whatever Kevin Stefanski says is fair because it's Kevin Stefanski's team and it's his process. I also think it's extremely obvious that Kevin Stefanski doesn't mess with Shedeur Sanders the way the outside public believes that he should. When you think about this process, it feels that Kevin Stefanski wasn't ready to draft Shedeur Sanders, and then upon drafting him, he didn't put a plan in place to handle the person. You have to understand with Shedeur Sanders is going to come more media attention, more scrutiny. He's going to be treated unlike anything else in that locker room or anything else we see in the league based on his position.
An inexperienced quarterback who has been scrutinized ever since entering the NFL. This time, however, Shedeur's leadership or skill is not being criticized. It concerns those in his immediate vicinity who are meant to mentor, shield, and support him. Rather, it appears that Kevin Stefanski never had faith in him in the first place, as Ryan Clark made evident on The First Take. "I'm going to say this straight up," he said. "Shedeur Sanders was never truly tampered with by Kevin Stefanski from the beginning." Stephen A. bent over. Dan Orlovsky arched his brows, seemingly taken aback by Ryan's willingness to be so forthright. Ryan then went on to say,
"Waiting for an opportunity." So I looked at it like that, and I just said to myself, okay, but that's how it goes. You know, Joe Flacco's a veteran. You know, Kevin Stefanski, you know, knows what he's doing as a coach, etc. But then something like this happens. We're supposed to sit here and believe that Bailey Zappi is a guy that's the QB2 on this squad. Really, that's what we're doing now. I just find that to be a bit fishy. And so, you know, Dylan Gabriel obviously is your QB1. He's a guy that has earned the opportunity to do that. Mina pointed out last week accurately, so he had a better performance in the preseason than Shedeur Sanders did. I get that part. Shedeur Sanders played well, albeit against Carolina.
This young person arrived in Cleveland with the name, the excitement, and the platform. He did not, however, arrive with a coach who genuinely desired him. He wasn't wanted by Stefanski to be drafted. It was a move from the front office, and it's already set up when that occurs. The way they have treated him from the beginning tells you. The fact that such statements confirmed what fans had already begun to suspect made them powerful. Shedeur Sanders appeared calm, precise, and assured in each of his reps during the preseason. His field vision and composure under duress were commended by reporters. However, despite his numerous promising outings, he was still trailed by players like Bailey Zapp, who most observers wouldn't have thought to see wielding a clipboard, much less as QB2. The misunderstanding began at that point. Why didn't Shedeur, who is undoubtedly one of the league's most naturally talented rookie passers, receive second-string practice? For all those who are watching, Ryan Clark made the connection. "This has nothing to do with competition," he stated. "Politics is at issue here. Stefanski is attempting to maintain order in an already unsteady locker room. Keeping the spotlight off the one player who naturally draws it is the simplest method to achieve that." He was discussing the existence of Shedeur. Shedeur was more than just a quarterback during his time as a college student at Colorado when he was coached by Deion Sanders. He served as a brand and a representation of a new kind of athlete that is knowledgeable about both the game and business. Even while his name alone attracts cameras, some coaches may find the attention unsettling, particularly those who like calm processes and established hierarchies. Coach Kevin Stefanski is a perfect example of that. Stephen A. Smith intervened, stoking the flames even further. "I concur with you, Brother Ryan. You observe how Stefanski manages this group. He works methodically. He is cautious, too cautious sometimes. You're telling me that even when he has a player like Shedeur Sanders who can handle pressure and extend the field, he's letting him sit on the bench behind a guy who's still learning how to throw a slant route? That isn't logical." Ryan wouldn't accept Dan Orlovsky's attempt to defuse the situation by speculating that the Browns might be shielding Shedeur from excessive early pressure.
And waiting for an opportunity. So I looked at it like that, and I just said to myself, okay, but that's how it goes. You know, Joe Flacco's a veteran. You know, Kevin Stefanski, you know, knows what he's doing as a coach, etc. But then something like this happens. We're supposed to sit here and believe that Bailey Zappi is a guy that's the QB2 on this squad. Really, that's what we're doing now. I just find that to be a bit fishy. And so, you know, Dylan Gabriel obviously is your QB1. He's a guy that has earned the opportunity to do that. Mina pointed out last week accurately so. He had a better performance in the preseason than Shedeur Sanders did. I get that part. Shedeur Sanders played well, albeit against Carolina.
Keeping him safe or concealing him. He retaliated because having a young quarterback in third place on the depth chart while other rookies receive meaningful reps is not how you develop a young quarterback. You don't bring him in merely to hide him from view. Ryan Clark was making a strong argument beneath the commotion, but the conversation became heated. Shedeur was never the focus of the Browns coaching staff's strategy. It appears from the outside that the organization drafted him under duress rather than on purpose. Perhaps it was done to make headlines or to appeal to a particular fan base segment. Regardless of the cause, it is clearly evident that Shedeur Sanders lacked a real development roadmap. Ryan referred to it as a classic Kobe scenario. He recalled to the crowd how some coaches attempted to mentally harm Kobe Bryant when he first joined the league before entrusting him with accountability. Stars can be difficult for coaches to manage at times. They believe that forcing the children to suffer is the only way to gain their respect. However, that doesn't work for every player. Shedeur is being denied both opportunities and confidence, which are necessities for some people. The questions from the media are becoming louder back in Cleveland. When talking about quarterback development, Stefanski hardly ever refers to Shedeur by name, as beat writers have observed. His discussion of growth is consistently ambiguous. Stefanski's responses are even more circumspect when asked if Shedeur should be given first-team reps. His statements include, "We'll see what happens in due time," or alternatively, "We like the competition." What competition, though? Shedeur should have been the logical next man up after Joe Flacco faltered and Bailey Zappi was unable to advance the offense throughout practice. As if to avoid the inevitable, they continued to switch up the backup names instead. On X, fans began referring to it as Shedeur suppression. Posts flooded timelines with videos showing Zappi missing open reads and Shedeur's accurate throws during preseason training camp. There was no denying the change. In addition to revealing Stefanski's hesitation, Ryan Clark's remark confirmed the dissatisfaction of thousands of supporters. He responded, "Let him go somewhere that believes in him if this coaching staff doesn't. Now trade him. Avoid wasting his time. Don't let him waste his best years sitting behind people who aren't quite as good as him." That statement struck like a lightning strike. Social media took over in a matter of hours. Trending hashtags were "Let him play" and "Free Shedeur." Even retired athletes had something to say. Shocking information about Ryan Clark was shared on social media by Chat Johnson. "If you're not afraid of the noise a quarterback makes, you wouldn't bench him in that manner." Even though he was cautious in what he said, Deion Sanders released a subliminal message that fans instantly connected to the incident. It said, "God's plan will always expose what's hidden." The locker room dynamic has grown more complex in Cleveland. Shedeur's hard ethic and humility are praised by players who grew close to him throughout training camp. They claim that he remains late after each session to study films and conduct footwork exercises. However, they also acknowledge that he feels like he hasn't been given a fair chance, which is why he is frustrated, not because of the media attention. Local reporters were informed by a club source that Shedeur is not asking for a crown, he's asking for reps. The coaching staff, however, keeps downplaying the incident and characterizing it as a typical aspect of competition. Nonetheless, there are rumors that Stefanski's approach can backfire even within the company. One insider stated plainly, if Stefanski doesn't handle this right, he might lose the locker room. Shedeur already has the support of some of the veterans. The team will split if the coach continues to disregard the obvious. Ryan Clark warned of this danger because the locker room begins to take sides when leadership loses credibility. Shedeur Sanders is not just another inexperienced quarterback. He is a symbol of a new generation of athletes who carry their confidence, brand, and fan base with them. He doesn't conform to Kevin Stefanski's preferred silent system approach. But the NFL is actually evolving. These days, quarterbacks serve as more than just passers. They represent their teams, and a coach runs the risk of losing both games and locker rooms if he is unable to adapt to that. Ryan Clark's statement, "Stefanski is trying to coach like it's 2005, but this is 2025, effectively encapsulated this. Silenced players are no longer used. You give them authority. You build around them. There was a lot of conjecture in the days following the show regarding Shedeur's future in Cleveland. Potential trading destinations were listed by sports commentators. Teams with questionable quarterback situations like the Raiders, Patriots, and Falcons were suggested as potential destinations. There is a growing suspicion that Shedeur's agent might try to get him out if the Browns don't select him as quarterback too quickly. The irony is that Cleveland might come to regret it greatly, because Shedeur will quickly disprove the critics once he finds a place that truly believes in him. He possesses the poise, the knowledge, and the arm. He's not an unfinished project. He's a quarterback with leadership potential.
Decision later on that.
Yeah, I imagine that Stefanski has a long list of things he's got to think long and hard about over there with that squad. But this not knowing the backup QB, is that fair or foul, Stephen A., for Stefanski?
I think it's
Nothing better encapsulated it than Ryan Clark's final statement during that first take portion. It is impossible to teach swagger. Legacy and composure are not something that can be taught. That child received all three. His own coaching staff is the only thing preventing him from succeeding. Browns supporters are split on the video as it keeps making the rounds on the internet. Stefanski's patience is defended by those who think that hurrying a beginner can undermine their confidence. Others can see right through such logic. They claim it's merely a pretext. In any case, things are getting to the point where there is no turning back. The organization may have to make a difficult decision if Shedeur doesn't see genuine snaps soon because of pressure from the media and fans. Since change is inevitable, it won't be long until your own locker room begins to believe in someone more than your head coach does. Ryan Clark revealed more than just a football problem. He revealed an issue with culture. He reminded everyone that trust, opportunity, and belief are just as important as game plans and playbooks. And the young talent will find another squad that believes in them if their coach doesn't. Therefore, whether Shedeur Sanders has the talent to begin is not the true question at this time. Everyone is aware that he is. The Cleveland Browns' willingness to acknowledge it is the true question. Since it will be too late by then, someone else will be if they aren't. Please share your thoughts in the comment section below if you think Shedeur should be in the running for QB2, or perhaps even QB1 in the near future. Do you believe he is being held back by Kevin Stefanski? Or is everything a part of a larger scheme that we aren't yet aware of? In any case, this tale is far from over. Furthermore, Shedeur Sanders may make his biggest comeback to date in the upcoming chapter. Thank you for viewing. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications if you liked this analysis and would like to see more in-depth analyses on NFL issues and locker room dynamics. This way, you won't miss a single update, because this is only the beginning of the narrative, believe me.